Hi, Peralta first graders. It's Mr. Davis once again. Thanks for coming back to my class. Today we are going to continue learning about bees. We will finish the last page of this book. We're actually going to be learning about what are called minor bees. They are bees that dig in the ground. The song that we're listening to is called Believe, and it's by The Bravery. I chose believe because it sounds like the word bee is inside that word. Also, you should know that today is the last day that we are going to be learning about bees. Next week, you'll be learning about something different. You're going to be learning about plants. Let's do a bee joke, shall we? Why did the bee go to the doctor? The answer, it had hives. So, as I mentioned before, we're going to learn about what are called minor bees. I'm going to turn this song off. And so, I'm going to read from the last of this book called Bees, Bees, Bees by me. And we're turning towards the last pages here of these pages. It says the fifth type of bee nest is the one made by minor bees. Minor bees make elaborate underground nests in dirt. Their nests kind of look the way grapes do when they are still stuck on their stems. However, when these nests are viewed from ground level, all you see is a small hole about the circumference of a pencil. So right there is the hole. It's hard to see, but right there is a picture of a penny. At the end of each tunnel section, the female minor bee digs out a chamber a little wider than the tunnel itself. She then leaves a pollen loaf, a mixture of pollen and nectar, lays an egg, and seals off the chamber. When the egg hatches, it will start eating the pollen loaf and eventually go through complete metamorphosis inside the chamber. I'll show you some of these pictures up close here. So here's a picture of a bee at the top, and that's her nest. Each one of these has an egg that gets laid inside of it and a pollen loaf. So each one carries its own little bee life cycle. Here's that picture. You can see the penny there now. That's a penny, and that's a hole. That's about as big as a pencil. You can just barely put a pencil in there. So it'd be hard to even see, but if you were to sort of open up the ground, it would look like this. But all you see is that top hole part. And here's a picture of a baby bee. Look how cute that little baby bee is. It's a baby, but she's not wearing diapers. And right there is the pollen loaf. So here's a picture of the pollen loaf. It's like a little sphere, a mixture of pollen and nectar. So when the egg hatches, the larva emerges, and then the larva just eats that pollen loaf. It's constantly eating and getting bigger and bigger. And so once it eats the whole pollen loaf, then it'll be time to go into the pupa stage and then eventually turn into an adult. So here's the picture of the life cycle. So here's a mama feeding on some nectar and collecting pollen. Then she goes into her tunnel, and then she goes to the end of a tunnel and makes a pollen loaf. Once that loaf is ready, she lays an egg. When the egg hatches, it turns into a larva and it starts eating that pollen loaf. Then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually turns into a pupa. And then it metamorphosizes and turns into an adult, and then that bee leaves. And if it's a female bee, she starts foraging, starts making a tunnel, and just keeps on going. And this happens these are all solitary bees, so they're not working together as a group. Just one female bee digging this and doing all of this all by herself. Let's read the next part. The nest of minor bees are the most popular type of bee nest. In fact, about 70% of bees in the world nest in holes in the ground dug out by a single female bee. They are like miniature gophers. 70% means that about 14,000 out of the world's 20,000 bee species dig nests in dirt. There are so many different species of minor bees that they vary widely by size, color, and other features. They can be striped or solid colored, hairy or not hairy, and large or small. For instance, some species of the Agapostemon are metallic green, while some species of Andrena are metallic blue. The smallest bee in the United States is a minor bee. Perdita minima is its name. Some species of minor bees nest in the same area. Though they don't share their individual nests, they are separate nests that are clumped closely together. So I'll show you some of these pictures up close here. So there's a minor bee emerging out of her hole. These are all some of the different kinds of minor bees. Remember, there are 14,000 different kinds of minor bees, so they don't all look the same. It's not like how carpenter bees all kind of look the same, or bumblebees all look the same. Minor bees all look different because there are so many of them. Here's another picture of a minor bee emerging from her nest. And here's that smallest bee in the world. That's a quarter. And there's, not the world, I'm sorry, the United States. Perdita minima, which is a minor bee. So she would dig really small tunnels. And then there's a carpenter bee, the largest carpenter bee in America, and largest bee in America with the smallest bee in America next to it. So that's the same bee. And then these are nests kind of all stuck together, but they're all individual nests. And this is another example of one. So it's not like honeybees where they're all working together to care for their young and they're all living in one nest. That's one nest that has its own little entrance and exit, and that's another nest, and that's another nest. They're not working together, they're just living together. They're kind of like different houses on a street, but they're not really sharing any of the work, so they're not social in the same way that a bumblebee is or a honeybee is. So that's the end of those pages, and this is the last page, and it's basically a review of the book. So it says, let's review what we learned about bees. There are over 20,000 different species of bees in the world. Only 7 of those species are honeybees. That was number 1. Remember that fact? Number 2, 4,000 different species of bees live in the United States. Only 1 of those species is a honeybee. Apis mellifera is its name. Fact 3, honeybees are not native to the United States. Europeans brought honeybees to America about 400 years ago. Number 4, all bees go through complete metamorphosis, from egg to larva to pupa to adult. Nests are built to provide a safe place for young bees to metamorphosize. Number 5, most of the bees in the world are solitary. Number 6, only a few species of bees are social, honeybees and bumblebees. Number 7, honeybees make their own nest out of hexagon-shaped wax cells. So that's this one, the first page right there. The next one says, bumblebees find a pre-made hole in the ground to use as their seasonal nest. That's this next page here that we worked on. Carpenter bees make their own nest by cutting burrows in wood. I just saw a carpenter bee about 10 minutes ago in my garden, flying around. That's the carpenter bee page. Hole nesting bees find a pre-existing hole in wood to use as their nest. Both leafcutter bees and mason bees are hole nesters. Here's the hole nesting page. And the last one, minor bees make their own nest by digging tunnels in the ground. 70% of the world's bees are minor bees. That's what we're going to write on the last part here, this last section. And then it's number 12 says, don't let a bee's small size fool you. The bees of the world are essential pollinators for flowers and a lot of the food we eat. And then 13 says, be kind to bees. So that's the end of that book. I'm going to show you some real pictures of minor bees and some of the nests, real pictures of nests. And some are just artistic pictures of nests. So here's a picture of a drawing of a minor bee nest. So there's the bee, and this is her tunnel. This is what the female bees do. The males don't do this. And you can see at the end of each tunnel, she kind of closes it off. Before she closes it off, she makes a pollen loaf, and then there's a larva in there. And if she lays an egg, and the larva comes out of the egg and starts devouring it. That's a close-up picture of what it would look like. So she has all these babies inside here, going to go through metamorphosis. So that's what all minor bees do. They have a pollen loaf, they lay an egg in there, and most of them close off the entrance like that, so it's protected. And then when it turns to an adult bee, it either goes out this way, or oftentimes it just goes straight up. So this bee might just go and dig a hole straight up to exit instead of going out the sort of easy way. For some reason, they go out and make their own little hole as they dig a tunnel out. So that's that one. Here is that picture. That's a minor bee, that smallest bee in America. Really small. And then here is also, this is also a minor bee. It's called a digger bee, but it digs in the ground. Here is a real picture. That's a drawing, a scientific illustration, and this is a real photo of the same exact species. You can see they look the same. They have these beautiful green eyes. This is going to be funny to hear, I think, but these bees are sleeping. It's hard to tell if they're sleeping, but they are in fact sleeping. This is how a bee sleeps. It finds a twig, or at least these bees, it finds a twig, and then it opens up its it sits on the twig and it opens up its mandibles, and then it clamps down on the twig with its mandibles, and it sleeps right there. So it just clamps onto the twig so it won't move. And if you look, you can see the mandibles of that bee are clamped on the twig, and they're sleeping together. I think that's a cute picture. And those eyes are really beautiful. And here's another picture. Oops, I think I found all the pictures in this book are done. Sorry. Here's some more pictures of minor bees. So that's a minor bee digging in the ground. And this is a minor bee. Look how green that bee is. That's an Agapostemum. They're green. These bees are in Oakland as well. Remember, most of the bees in the world are minor bees. That's a minor bee. Look at that cute face right there. She has a mustache. This is actually the one that you're going to put in your book. It's the same picture from the one you're putting in your book. And there's that one. And then this page over here is that one. And it has like a bluish color. This bee does. Here's another picture of a minor bee. You can see how different they look. They don't really look all the same. That's another minor bee. It's bigger and hairier. Has a really long proboscis. That's another one. That's a bumblebee right there. Look how long that proboscis is. So those are some pictures of minor bees. And then here are some more pictures. That's an Agapostemum, a green bee. It's called a sweat bee, but it digs holes in the ground. And here's a real photo of a hole, and that is a pollen lobe, and that little dot is an egg right there. And here's a photo of a nest. And then it's hard to tell in this picture, but there are hundreds of nests right there. This is a dirt road. And then all these little holes are nests of minor bees. And they're not working together, so they're solitary. They're not working to raise their young together. They're not all living in there. So each one of these is a separate entrance, each little dot that you see. So sometimes they do that. They all sort of live together. And then these are all different kinds of minor bees. They look really different. Different shapes, sizes, colors. Here's that really small bee. I mean, look how small that bee is right there. And here's some more. There's that green Agapostemum, also called a sweat bee. There's a tunnel for her entrance right there. There she is looking for a tunnel. Here's some more. There's so many different ways, so it's hard to say that they don't all look the same. They look really different. Here's another entrance. Bee exiting. There she is. Looks like she's digging a hole. So they're just like what a gopher would do. They dig their own hole and make their own entrance. Here's some more. These ones have really interesting tunnels. So here they kind of build out this little, looks like a little chimney stack. So you can see a bee is entering into her tunnel right there. So they make it stack like that. They build it all by themselves. That's really cool looking. And here's a whole bunch of them, all sort of close together. Each nest is individual though, so they're not working together. There's an individual nest. And I'll show you a few more. Here I like this picture a lot because you can see the bee is squishing down into her tunnel, and those are her little legs right there. So she's kind of squishing and squeezing down into the tunnel. It's a cute picture. There she is exiting her tunnel. Here's another way, and these little mounds of little spheres of dirt. This particular bee likes to roll up a dirt ball and kind of roll it out the hill and then throw it out of her. Not really throw it out, but knock it out of this hole. So she'll make a ball of dirt and then roll it out of her tunnel cute. So they all behave a little bit differently, but most of the bees in the world make nests in the dirt. I bet you before you started learning about bees, you thought most of the bees in the world lived in hives and made honey, but that is not true at all. Most of the bees in the world live in dirt nests. Now you know. So I already taped this together, and you can stop the video now to do that if you want to catch up. And it's the minor bee page. And then this bee is actually like a little bluish color. It's a minor bee, and these are the sentences you get to choose from. This one says, minor bees are solitary bees that vary widely by color, size, and characteristics. And this phrase says, can be very small, like the smallest bee in America, Perdita minima, that's the scientific name of that bee. And then minor bees make nests by digging elaborate tunnels in the ground. And here it says, lay one egg on top of a pollen loaf at the end of each tunnel. So you get to choose that sentence and write them down right here. And in interest of time, I'm not going to write them down, but you're going to write one sentence and you choose the phrase that you want, and then another sentence and choose the phrase. You can just freeze the video and do that. And for the picture part, we're going to draw, I think the best one was this picture right here. This picture, I think, does a really good job of showing what a nest would look like for a minor bee. So I'm going to sort of try to copy that. So basically there's the ground, and there's a little opening in the ground, and the opening has a little bit of dirt packed out, because all that dirt that she's been digging gets pushed outside here. In that one picture I showed you, there's those little spheres of dirt. Some bees make little spheres of dirt and roll up like a ball. And then there's always a main entrance tunnel that kind of goes straight down typically, and then it starts to spread out. This is when it kind of looks like a bunch of grapes. So there might be one going this way, one going that way, and there might be another one that goes this way. So it kind of just goes in different directions. You can make this as you go. And at the end of each section, there's like a little bulb. It's a little bit bigger than the actual tunnel. And that end part is where the eggs live out their first part of their life. So I'm just going to make it like that, a smaller nest. So the first thing she would do is dig out the whole tunnel. That's her first step, just digging, 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 digging. Then she'd go visit flowers. So maybe I'll put some flowers over here. And then when she's at those flowers, she would collect pollen. So maybe I'll draw the adult bee right here. You can draw the adult bee wherever you want. So she's flying out. She's going to visit, collect some nectar, collect some pollen. Then she'd go back in here. And then she'd collect and make a little sphere. She'd mix the pollen with the nectar and make a little sphere. Then she would lay her egg right on top of that, just like this. And then she would close off the cell. She'd like pack in dirt there to make a little wall. The reason she closes off is for protection. She doesn't want it to get eaten by another animal, or some other animal sneaks down here and tries to eat her baby egg or something. So she seals it off. And then that egg hatches. The larva eats the pollen loaf, then it goes into the pupa stage, and then emerges as an adult bee, and it either goes out the same entrance and flies off and lives its life, or it just makes its own tunnel straight up. So that's the picture you're going to draw there. And you can color this in if you want to make it look like, make sure everyone knows that it's dirt. This is going to be all underground. Don't forget that most of the bees in the world nest in the ground. I bet you did not know that. Learn something new every day, because most people, even most adults, think that most bees nest in hives and make honey. I bet you if you told your parents that most bees in the world nest underground, you would make their mind go, they would not know that. You can teach them something. So you're going to have your picture here, and then again you get to choose these sentences. You can just freeze the video if you need more time to finish up those sentences. And I'm also going to draw one little picture. So basically that's the end of what we've been doing with bees. We're not going to learn about bees anymore on these videos. You're going to be learning about plants next. And so we're sadly finished with bees. bees. But we're going to end by drawing a picture. I'm going to choose to draw a picture here, but you can draw it on just any blank piece of paper that you got is totally fine. And the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to make some letters. We're going to make a picture out of some letters. I'm going to make a lowercase, I'm going to use this color instead, a lowercase f right here. I'll try to make that F as beautiful as possible. I'm going to use a crayon to make it. I'm going to choose a different color and make another lowercase f. Hopefully you can see that green. It's a little bit light, but that's another lowercase f. And then kind of up over here, I'm going to make a lowercase b. So that says BFF, like best friends forever, BFF. Now I'm going to make a picture out of that. I'm going to use a marker, a felt pen, but you can use a pencil in case you don't like something, you can erase it. I'm just using this so you can see it better. So the first thing I'm going to do is make a circle right at that spot of the F. Then I'm going to make a loop out of this and a loop out of that. And I'm going to make another loop. You probably figured out what I made out of this letter F. And I'm going to repeat the process for this one. And then this part of the F, I'm going to turn into a leaf. So now we got two flowers made out of the letter F. You have any ideas what I'm going to make that letter B out of? I bet you know. I'm going to make two circles and two dots looking at those flowers. I'm going to put a big smile right there. You can tell this is a cartoon bee. It's not a scientific illustration. I'm just going to give it one body part. I should probably give it 3, but I want to make it look like a silly cartoon. And then this part, I'm going to turn into a wing, another wing. Obviously there should be 4 wings there. There, I got my 6 legs. I got that part right at least. And I'll give her a little stinger. So there, it says BFF. That's because bees and flowers are best friends forever. They need each other so much. I should probably put some pollen right in here. The bee has something to eat. For her babies to collect, make a pollen loaf. So BFF, best friends forever, are bees and flowers. So kids, that's the last of our lessons about bees. It was great teaching you about bees. I hope you are more respectful to bees. Be kind to them. Make lots of ground available for those ground bees, the miner bees. And make sure you plant lots of flowers so they have food to eat. Take care. See you later. Bye.